What's up, design family, and welcome back to another episode of Fit Design TV. So glad to have you guys back. We'll be looking at what you as a streetwear and sportswear brand can learn from Rolex. Such a detached brand from the streetwear and the sportswear space. Well, actually, there's a ton that you can learn, and there's actually 5 key points that I want to cover on today's episode. Number 1 is that we can learn how to create an emotional pull from our customers. When it comes to a brand like Rolex, at the end of the day, they're not just selling you jewelry, they're not just selling you watches. What they are selling you is a significance or a sort of symbol of a milestone in your life or a status piece that you'd want to have, or some sort of way to remember a moment in time. This is a lot more effective by actually placating to that emotional need or that emotional desire and that drive. That's a lot more effective than going into the technical details of their products and saying, our product keeps time XYZ, or our product is constructed from this sort of steel, or our product contains this sort of bezel. They don't only focus on that. Yes, that is a part of how they brand. But more than that, they create an emotional pull towards the brand. It almost becomes something that you need rather than only want. How do you do this with a sportswear brand? Well, it's simple. Why does anyone get into fitness? There's an emotional drive to better themselves. There's an emotional drive to be part of something bigger than themselves. Find out what that is for your customers and actually position your messaging, position your brand, and position your product as a solution to their needs and their wants. Number 2 is social proof. Whether we like to agree with it or not, we are a social being. We want what other people have. This is something that we do subconsciously. It's part of our innate human wiring. And this is something that as a brand, you need to lean into. This is something that as a brand, Rolex does exceptionally well. You don't buy a Rolex simply because celebrity XYZ or athlete XYZ has worn it. What your mind is thinking and what your mind is perceiving at this stage is, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. At the same time, you almost feel that by associating with these same products, that level of excellence or that level of achievement or that level of success can almost be yours as well. It's not only about using celebrities and key people of influence in your space. It's also about consistently providing social proof. Look at it this way. If your brand is not a brand that's being bought by customers and you aren't consistently having reviews from your customers, well, chances are this is not a brand that most people are buying into. People generally go where the tribe heads. So a good way to do this would be to showcase reviews on your website, on your social platforms. Also use user-generated content consistently. Showcase others from a more normal setting, right? General and more normal customers wearing your clothing, actually engaging with your clothing. Create a sense of community, create a sense of tribe, and others will follow. Number 3, aim to cultivate an elevated retail and packaging experience. This is essential, and Rolex does this extremely well. At the end of the day, yes, you're not going to have an elevated luxury boutique like Rolex, but what we can take from the way that they position their retail stores is the importance of setting a phenomenal and great first impression to their customers. What you want to do as a streetwear or sportswear brand is actually position a website that is organized, that is clean, that is on brand, that is easy to use, that also is able to remember the preferences of your customer. Consider actually setting up customer profiles. Make it easy for your customers to be remembered, to have an idea of their preferences, their wants, their sizes, the colors that they like. This goes a long way. When it comes to your packaging, if you look at a high-end luxury watch purchase, right, the packaging cost is such a marginal cost. You're not actually paying for the packaging. You're nowhere near paying for the packaging, but they still take the time to include the packaging. Why is that? Well, it's a value-added experience. It's a perceived experience. Imagine buying a $10,000 or $20,000 watch and it comes in a cardboard box that's stamped and wet, right? Sure, the core product that's inside is identical. It's the same beautifully made, machine milled, expertly crafted watch. But the packaging is just going to create a negative framework for how you engage with the brand. The same is true with a apparel brand. Make sure that your packaging, number 1, sets the scene for how your customer interacts and engages with your brand. Number 4, craft an exceptional after sales and loyalty experience for your customers. When you buy a high-end watch, right, the experience does not end when you check out. The idea is that, number 1, the brand remembers who you are as a client. They register that. You have a personalized interaction and experience with them moving on forward. Why is that important? No one wants to feel like a transaction with a brand is purely transactional, right? That you've spent your money and all of a sudden now they've forgotten about you. Really, it does go a long way to show people that you care, and you should care as a business. Yes, your aim is to generate a profit, but you can do this by also genuinely caring about your customers. Some of the best retail experiences that I've had have always been with vendors that remember who I am. Going out of your way to show people that you care and genuinely care, align your interests with your customers, will leave a positive experience and a positive impression of your brand long after they've left the store. When your customer has an issue, make sure that you take care of it. No matter what, always communicate with your customers. Always bear in mind that bad news spreads way faster than positive news. Always stay on good terms with your customers. Foster a sense of loyalty. Remember who they are. Go out of your way to provide an exceptional after-sales experience time and time again. This is how you cultivate longevity for your brand and your business. Number 5, last but definitely not least, especially if you've been an avid viewer of this channel, is that always focus on exceptional product craftsmanship and attention to detail. Why do you buy a Rolex? More than that, why do you keep the watch? And how do you manage to keep the watch? Well, it's made exceptionally. It's made out of the finest materials. It's made with the highest quality of craftsmanship. Thousands and thousands of hours have gone into creating this product that can actually stand the test of time. That's why you keep it. That's why you put your trust and faith in the product. But it's not the reason you buy it in the first place. You buy it because there's an emotional pull, but you keep it because it's actually a product of value. The same is true with your products, with your apparel. You need to focus at the very minimum on creating a level of product that is superior to all of your competitors. Use quality fabrics, use quality craftsmanship, have a packaging experience that stands the test of time. Create product. This is the absolute minimum in such a saturated market. Creating a good quality product is the absolute minimum that you have to do. Then comes the marketing. Then comes the emotional pull. Then comes how you position your brand as a product that customers want. Create the best product. If you're going to put your name on it, that name has to mean something. Well, that's it, guys. That is a wrap on this episode. All of these points are equally as important, but I'm curious to hear from you guys. Which of the 5 you feel like you could benefit from the most? We're always interested to hear what other topics you want to see us cover next. Check the link in the description. I offer one-on-one consultation calls every single week with limited slots. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fit Design TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.